Domination continues for the UConn Huskies. I mean, what they're doing right now is incredible. They're playing absolutely dominating basketball right now. Throughout the tournament, their average margin of victory is 27 and 3/4, 28 points per game. That's their average margin of victory. It's 28 points per game. That's insane. That's insane. Yes, their 1 versus 16 kind of inflates that when they beat Stenson by 39, 40 points. But they are doing this to good teams as well. They did it to Northwestern. They did it to San Diego State. They did it to number 3 Illinois, who, might I remind you, was one of the top scoring offenses in the entire country. They shut them down. Held them to 23 points for like 3/4 of the game. For real. 23 points for about 3/4 of basketball. If the college basketball did quarters, of course. But you know what I'm saying? They're playing absolutely dominating basketball on both sides of the floor. It's not just their defense. It's not just their offense. They're getting it done. I mean, all of their guys are contributing. Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, Alex, I'm forgetting his last name, Correham, and Donovan Clingan. I mean, they're just playing absolutely great basketball right now. They cannot do any wrong, it seems. This is just, I don't think I've seen this kind of dominating basketball since the 73-9 Warriors. And of course, they didn't win the championship, but they looked really good the whole time while doing it. Okay. I mean, maybe you can go back to those Kentucky teams that were almost perfect, had the perfect regular season, didn't win the championship. That's another team that comes to mind. This UConn team is what we thought the 2019 Duke team was. The one with Zion Williamson, with RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish. We thought this team, or that team, would do what this UConn team is doing. This is absolutely blowing teams out of the water. But they had a close one with UCF and Taco Fall, and of course lost to my Michigan State Spartans in the Elite Eight. But we just haven't seen anything like this, especially when a team is going back-to-back, and they had high turnover last season. All right, they lost 3 out of their 5 starters. So they lost a lot of depth pieces as well. UConn had high turnover, and they're dominating again. They're looking to go back-to-back, and honestly, I don't see anybody stopping them. I thought at first it was just a level of competition. Okay, Stenson, we don't expect anything. All right, Northwestern didn't look real good in their win against Florida Atlantic either. So, okay. You know, San Diego State is a very inconsistent team at times. They didn't even win the Mountain West Conference tournament or the regular season. So, and that's not the highest level of competition either. So maybe, okay, let's see how they do against Illinois, the tournament champions of the Big Ten, one of the highest scoring offenses, has the 3rd leading scorer in the country in Terrence Shannon, has Domas, who has had a great tournament as well. Didn't matter. Didn't slow them down. They had a battle in the first half, which is actually kind of new for UConn. But the second half was a whole different story. They probably could have easily won that game by 30, 35, but they kind of let off the gas at the end. And I can't blame them because they were, I mean, like I said, they held Illinois, a top offense, to 23 points for 3/4 of basketball. That is insane. That is unheard of in college hoops. That should not happen. And Dan Hurley has this team prepared. They're ready for everything. They're not overlooking the moment. They're not so focused on the championship that they forget about this game. No, they're playing pretty basketball. It is just so good to watch. They're doing it the right way. Like I said, they're playing both sides of the floor really, really well. They're not just getting after it offensively. They're not just getting after it defensively. They're putting a complete game together, and it is beautiful. It is why basketball was made. They are doing it all. They're doing what they have to do, and they're playing it. They don't have that one guy, right? We're not hearing about Donovan Clingan over and over and over again. He might be their best player, but Tristan Newton has something to say about that too. I mean, he's averaging 15 points a game this season with 6 assists. Donovan's not even averaging 12 points a game. Or he is 12. 13 points a game for Donovan. So this is just a very good, well-rounded team. Again, two-way players. They're getting after it. They're doing their thing. They're really well coached. They're just a fun team to watch. What were they, 35-3 on the season? That is beautiful. With only losses to Kansas, Creighton, and then a fluke game to Seton Hall. It happens. 35-3. 28 points average margin of victory inside this NCAA tournament. They're in the Final Four. They're going up against an Alabama team who has pulled off an upset, beating North Carolina. They had a good game in the Elite Eight against Clemson as well. They started off slow, but they got to where they needed to be. Grant Nelson is playing really good basketball. This whole team is playing really good basketball, Marcus Sears. But I just don't see anybody stopping them. I really don't. I'm not a betting man. I don't live in a gambling state. But if I did, I'd probably put a lot of money on UConn. That is how confident. I didn't even care to watch much of the Alabama-Clemson game because I'm so sure that UConn's just going to win. You never know. It's March, right? You never know. We have NC State, an 11 seed, here in the Final Four. Going to go up against Purdue. And that's an exciting game to watch as well. Actually, I hate watching Purdue. It's never fun. I don't enjoy watching a big man just score 40 points, half of which coming from the free throw line. That is what I have a bone to pick there, too. And maybe that should be a different video, but it's not going to be. Zach Edey was fouled 15 times against Tennessee. 15. And how many fouls were called on him? One. One single foul. 15. You always talk about the team differentials. Oh, wow. And Purdue won that quite easily as well. But if you see, an 8-1 foul count for the teams, you get pretty upset. You say, hey, Russ, what's going on, man? Why are you favoring these guys? But it is 15-1. And I understand he's a big man. He draws a lot of attention. He gets a lot of doubles. People are just wailing, flapping their arms at him a lot of the time. I understand that he gets more fouls than he gives up. But that dude is a big body and not a graceful one at that. And he fouls a lot. There were so many videos of I've seen, especially 2 games ago against Utah State when Zach Edey just fell on a man. That shouldn't happen. Was that 2 games ago or was that against Gonzaga? I can't remember. It was Utah State or Gonzaga. He legitimately fell on a man and didn't get called for a foul. That is ridiculous. I hate Purdue, but even as dominant as they've been, and they haven't been nearly as dominant as UConn, right? They had a down-to-the-wire game with Tennessee, and the only reason Tennessee lost is because Dalton Knecht just ran out of gas because he put up 40 shots. I don't know exactly numbers. And the rest of his team couldn't score. Tennessee played really good defense against Zach Edey and of course, Purdue's guards weren't hitting their shots like they normally do. But that's why I'm not as confident in Purdue. I don't even know if they'll get around DJ Burns and DJ Horn at North Carolina State. I think that'll be a good, fun game to watch. But it doesn't matter because the winner, I again have no faith can beat UConn. Because UConn is not just a very good offensive team. They're not just a very good defensive team like Houston. They're a very good two-way team. They get it done. And they get it done by a lot. That is crazy. So yeah, whoever wins that game, I really do think that'll be a fun one. In NC State and Purdue, I'm liking the matchup for DJ Burns and Zach Edey. Should be a fun one. Again, I don't know if I'm going to care a ton. But UConn is so dominant, man. They get it done. They're going to handle Zach Edey. Donovan Clingan's going to have a good battle with Zach Edey. But Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, they're going to have their way. They're going to have their way. It's not going to matter. I really don't think these guards are going to be able to hold up. Or I don't think these guards for UConn are going to be tested much by the guards of Purdue. Right? They're really good three-point shooters. And that's about it. They're not going to drive to the hoop because that's not their job. They don't drive to the hoop. They just throw the ball up to Zach Edey in the paint. That's all they do. Okay? Donovan's going to be not stop Zach Edey, but hold him off, contain him a little bit so that UConn can play their team basketball and just annihilate. And so, I don't know. Do you think there's any other outcome? Do you think Purdue can get it done? Do you think NC State maybe, or Alabama? Who can stop them in this Final Four? Can anybody stop UConn? I don't think so, but you let me know because, again, I'm just kind of disappointed. I mean, it's good for UConn, but I'm disappointed. I want to watch some good, close games, some fun basketball. I want to know. I want to be guessing who's going to win at the buzzer. I think UConn's going to dominate all of it. But we'll see. You let me know.